Okay, that's recording now. So, for part 4 of the road to Guinness, I have the body actually off, and I wanted to show you a couple of things. We'll be discussing steering linkages and the actual steering wheel for the tiny car build. Right now I have it sitting in front of me, and I wanted to show off the linkage. I had several ideas as far as the linkage goes. I was going to actually use a actual car steering linkage. It proved to be very big. It still did the same basic thing as far as the U-joints width. What I ended up doing is I have some mock-up for using some tool brand tool U-joints, and then I actually have an impact series that I'm going to replace this with that actually connects into the steering joint itself. Everything runs fine. The steering actually works the way it should, and it turns the way that it should, which is great. What I'm actually working on over here, and I'm sorry my garage looks crazy as well as the driveway looks crazy. It's like an episode of Hoarders. I have this extremely tiny steering wheel that came off of a kid's toy with the connector on the bottom. It actually has these two little pins that are slotted that's supposed to go into the steering wheel. The only problem with this is made of plastic, and this will eventually break. So what I ended up doing, last year I got this riding lawnmower to use for the kids program to discuss engine building and everything, and there was actually this shifting linkage that you use for engaging and disengaging the actual mower blade portion, and I actually disconnected that because I wanted to avoid any issues with having an actual mower blade in the school. So I have this solid piece of steel that I actually cut off on both ends, and then I ended up making this piece. And before I touch that piece, let me shoot it with water to make sure it is indeed cool. That way it doesn't cook my fingers like a bunch of hot dogs. Yes, that is cool. Okay. The way that this thing works is you stick the original pin that goes through it. I actually welded that onto an impact size connector to go into that connection. Comes through the top, still goes into the actual jointed piece on the bottom. Again, nothing overly interesting there, but then I have this kind of U-shaped piece that will actually fit over the slot. If I can do this one-handed. No, I cannot. Let me I can do this. I believe in myself. Okay. There. We're doing okay. Maybe. Okay, so it fits down in this piece, and what I'm going to end up doing, I'm going to actually put two bolts that go into the actual steering wheel as well as another cross piece, and then this actual steering wheel is going to be filled with boat resin. That way it's one solid piece. It'll create rigidity, make it solid. That way this plastic piece won't break, and then when I reassemble all this back together, then I'll have a solid steering wheel. I did consider actually constructing a tiny steering wheel this size, and if I had to guess, that's about a 8.5 inch width. I didn't measure that, but I know the distance from my thumb to my pinky as far as a reference point. It's very handy to do if you measure stuff that you always have with you. If you don't have a measuring tape, you know the distance of your finger. Okay, that's roughly 2.5 inches. If you do that, it's 8.5 inches. I don't know. It saves me time. When I reassemble this all together, I'll put the nut that goes on here that will hold this bracket on. Put the two solid pieces, reassemble the steering wheel. This actually goes on this way, like that. There's screws on the back that hold this together, and then from this little pocket here, I'll actually take some tape and line these holes. That way it doesn't drip through the bottom. Fill this with boat resin, and then if any leaks out, I'll sand it down smooth and everything, and then I'll have a very nice steering wheel to put on the tiny car. So that's how we're getting the steering wheel to work. There are other ways of doing it, but this seems like a easy, straightforward way of doing it, and plus I can recycle some of this stuff that I've been holding on to a while, and it's nice to be able to reuse and recycle stuff rather than just throwing it away. So it keeps costs low. It's definitely going to work, and we will go from there, and then we'll have a very fancy steering wheel that we'll have to obviously refinish. That way it doesn't have the 24. We could keep that on there, but I think we can do better than that. So I hope everybody has a wonderful Monday. The weather is nice outside. If you're busy working, I would say definitely go outside to at least enjoy the sun during your break. It will do wonders. Everybody have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later.